Thank you for listening to the podcast version of the Sound Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor here. Really do appreciate it. Be sure to check out the links below. Help supports the show. The first up being Life Points. Take some surveys, get some points, trade those points for gift cards. Pretty easy. It's fantastic. And of course, for all of your social media posting needs, check out socialbee.io. 14-day free trial. Don't even need to put a password in. Check them out for all of your social media posting needs. Okay, let's get started with this week's podcast version of the Sound Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Now broadcasting from his hidden bunker and fully stocked bar, it is the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Thank you and welcome once again, my friends, to the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, adventurer, entrepreneur, and amateur coin collector, and welcome to AWSM Radio, an independent digital-only radio station that plays today's best music, old school classics, along with a rotating cast of all-star DJs. AWSM Radio focuses on mainstream artists, independent artists, along with a variety of interesting talk and music shows throughout the day. All we do, my friends, is entertain, inspire, and inform. And I want to engage with you. I want you to be part of the conversation. So find me on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on the Facebook, on the Cameo, on the Twitch at Colt S. Taylor. You need to bookmark ColtSebastianTaylor.com. Probably should update it one of these days. And of course, if you've missed past broadcasts, you can always subscribe and be alerted when a new one is posted at anchor.fm/Colt S. Taylor. Those are usually posted on Sundays. All right, my friends, let's get started with this week's Saturday Report. First up this week, my friends, have you ever heard of the term dropping a dime on someone? It's an old term. When someone would make a phone call from a payphone. Well, payphone, what's those? Well, I mean, if you're old as I am, which I just had a birthday this week, so, where are my cards, my loyal listeners? I'm just saying. I assume AWSM Radio headquarters has been flooded with birthday cards from me, but maybe not. But anyways, payphones used to cost a dime to make a phone call. Then they were a quarter, and then everyone got cell phones. Now there's practically no more payphones. What was the last time you saw a payphone? I honestly can't remember. I don't know. I don't think there's any payphones even left in most major cities. Anyways, dropping a dime that you made a phone call on someone. And then, the phrase is, you're nickel and diming me. Well, that means someone's just like charging just a little bit more, just to get a little bit more money out of someone. Well, someone dropped the dime and is nickeling and diming someone else because a bunch of dimes were stolen in Philadelphia. Yes, how many dimes? A handful? No. A bucket load? Nope. 2 million dimes were stolen from a truck in Philadelphia this week. The truck was carrying $750,000 worth of dimes, driving to Florida. Apparently parked in a parking lot and got broken into, and someone stole approximately 2 million dimes, and that's about $200,000. They think at least $100,000, but up to $200,000 worth of dimes. And there's some helicopter shots of this, and basically the truck's busted open, and there are dimes all over a parking lot, like a trash can worth of dimes, 2 trash cans worth of dimes all over the parking lot. So I mean, there are mints all over the United States. There's like, how many mints? I think there's like 6 or 7 U.S. mints in the United States. There's one in Philadelphia. I know that. Well, the oldest one is in Philadelphia, but there are also mints in Denver, San Francisco. There is the West Point. Actually, also has a mint. That's right. West Point military academy has its own tiny little mint. Doesn't do a whole lot of work, but there's like a lot of specialty things and whatnot. But yeah, those are the official U.S. mints. Obviously, Philadelphia being the first one, obviously. And the latest one was actually in West Point. Was opened in 1938. Well, his predecessor was a depository in 1938, and then pennies were produced there from 1973 to 1986. So they do some gold bullion type stuff there. So they're the smallest and the rarest of the mints. Not the rarest, but the most. You're not gonna get like a penny from West Point, but your gold or silver or platinum American Eagle coins are going to be from that location. In fact, all the mints put like a little mark on it, except the Philadelphia mint, I think. You know what? It doesn't matter. I got off track here. Mints are fascinating to me. I just find them to be fascinating. What's important is a lot of dimes were stolen from Philadelphia, about at least 100,000 dimes. Now, here's the thing. If someone starts like paying for Wawa hoagies or Sheetz hoagies, which are very popular convenience store hoagies in this area, or like, a case of beer or some booze or like a new car with a buckets of dimes, I feel like somebody's going to notice. It's going to be hard to spend $100,000 worth of dimes. You can roll them up, cash them in at a bank, obviously. But if you have never been seen in that bank before and you come in with $800 worth of rolled dimes, that might be a red flag. That might be possibly a bit of a red flag. So, for those in the Philadelphia metro area, if your friend is suddenly buying you drinks with rolls of dimes, you may want to question that. We now go to Maine, where, my friends, you could get $25,000 for a Fireball. No, I'm not talking about the whiskey that I wish I was drinking right now, but a meteor streaked across the sky of Maine. It could be observed for about almost 5 minutes, streaking across the sky, and they feel like a bit of it struck the ground, like it survived re-entry. And so a museum is offering $25,000 for anyone to be able to bring in at least 1 kilogram worth of meteorite. Okay, this comes from the Maine Mineral and Gem Museum, offering $25,000 for a kilogram of meteorite, which was seen not only in Maine but also across New Brunswick, Canada, last weekend, just before noon. Like this, like you think of a shooting star or a meteorite, like, oh, it was in the middle of the night. No, people saw this in broad daylight, heard multiple sonic booms, and they are pretty confident that it struck the ground somewhere in Maine. According to Daryl Pitt, the chairman of the museum's meteorite division, in a press release, he said, quote, "When a fireball is sufficiently bright to be seen in broad daylight, it would have been extraordinarily bright had it been at night. The existence of positive Doppler radar returns, meteorites detected descending through the atmosphere just several miles above ground, assures us that meteorites are waiting to be found." So they're only going to pay for the first kilogram of meteorite, and a kilogram is, I've always been told that it's roughly about the weight of a dictionary, I believe. I think I should for my international listeners, you know exactly what a kilogram weighs. For my U.S. listeners, a kilogram is about, I'm looking at right now, 2.2 pounds. So just gives you an idea of how much weight that is. Now, listen, if 2.2 pounds is different based on size. 2 pounds of air is much bigger than, let's say, 2 pounds of lead. So this meteorite's probably very dense, so you may not physically need a lot for it to weigh a kilogram to get your reward. But they're only paying for the first kilogram. If people find more, they say it could be worth its weight in gold, depending on the type of meteorite it is, according to the guy in charge of that area. The American Meteor Society, which is a society of people who look to the skies for meteors, got 6 witness reports of Saturday's fireball, half of which were from northwest Maine. One witness described the meteorite as, quote, a long glowing tail but no smoke. Another said it was bright red while the tail was very white. It was so bright, especially against the clear blue sky. According to NASA said the meteorite event is the first radar-observed meteorite fall seen in Maine. It was observed for 4 minutes and 40 seconds, considered a relatively short period. Because it was detected on radar, and the radar, this is like weather radar, it can only look up so high and whatnot. So if it's that low, it obviously is pretty low. So the meteorite could be anywhere between 1.59 grams to 322 grams, but larger masses may have fallen. So the museum says if you have found a piece of meteorite, call the museum, make an appointment, and they need to do its, you just can't bring in a rock and say, hey, look what I found. They'll need to test it. It'll take about 2 weeks, 1 to 2 weeks for them to figure out if it is actually a meteorite. Now, one last piece of advice the museum said, quote, specimens exhibited advanced botanical matter are not from this fireball event. And please remember, you must obtain landowner permission before meteorite hunting. So my Maine friends, don't go tromping around out there looking for rocks without the permission of the landowner. We now go to Colorado, where a new law has been passed that I frankly had no idea about and was amazed that this law had to be passed. Am I talking about marijuana? No. Am I talking about pronouns? No. Am I talking about the ability to marry your gun in holy matrimony with the Second Amendment? No, but I'm sure Idaho is looking at that. I'm talking about farmers. Yes, farmers, that's right. Colorado has passed, for the first state, the quote-unquote right to repair legislation for farmers. That's right. It is now going to be legal for farmers to fix their own equipment next year. Yes. It previously, apparently, farmers were not allowed to fix their own equipment, and they would have to take it to authorized dealers to get fixed. And the law says manufacturers like Deere, the Deere and Company, are obliged to provide them with manuals and diagnostic software and other aids to help them repair their own equipment. The Consumer Right to Repair Agricultural Equipment Act passed 46-14 in the Colorado Senate on Tuesday after winning approval in the House of Reps in Colorado in February. The bill garnered bipartisan support as farmers grew increasingly frustrated with the cost of repairs and inflated input prices, denting into their profits. So like before this law, they would have to take their equipment to authorized dealers for repairs, such as tractors and combines and whatnot. And those repairs are going up, and now the farmer says, well, we used to be able to fix our own equipment, and I guess it was against the law or voided warranty. I don't know why, but they weren't legally allowed to do that. So the legislation mandates that farm machinery manufacturers give farmers diagnostic tools, software documents, and repair manuals starting next year. And then similar resources must be made available by independent technicians. A spokesman for Deere & Company responded to the passage of the bill saying that it supports farmers' right to repair, I'm sure they do, but believe that the legislation is unnecessary and will carry unintended consequences. They worry that it will allow farmers to override certain safety systems and emissions controls. According to the sponsor of the bill, this is from State Representative Brianna Titone, says, quote, if there are no lawsuits or collapse of industry, it demonstrates that the law is not going to cause chaos like many opponents think it will. Lawmakers did amend the bill to include language that farmers and repair shops will not be authorized to make, quote, modifications to functions related to security or emissions. State lawmakers are pushing for the right to repair, even though the John Deere and others signed a memorandum of understanding with the American Farm Bureau Federation to allow farmers to fix equipment or go to a third-party repair shop. The agreement does not give farmers total access for repairs, so they instead push this law instead. So, this right to repair aspect is actually, not as common as one may think. Like, I think only recently you were allowed to take your iPhone to be fixed somewhere else that wasn't like a Genius Bar or an overcrowded Apple store. The right to repair is a right you think would be available to everyone, but a lot of equipment, a lot of manufacturers don't let you repair their own equipment. They'll say it's because they want to protect their proprietary information, or they don't want the thing to malfunction, make them look bad, or anything like that. But I think we all know why they don't want you repairing their stuff. That means they can't make more money off of you. Yes. So, congratulations to the Colorado legislature. I hope that more states give this right to farmers and other people as well with their own things. If a company is going to stand behind their product, then they should make it easy for the person who buys it to fix it. Now, obviously, things wear out. Obviously, nothing lasts forever. But you shouldn't have to spend an arm and a leg when you spent the other arm and a leg to acquire said equipment. So, and got bipartisan support, so, something that both sides agree on. And how often does that happen? Doesn't happen very often. So, good on them. My friends, although having the right to repair is going to be relatively new in Colorado, the right to party has been a well-established right in the United States since, before the Revolutionary War. And my friends, we've got the party here with my pal DC. He's got 3 shows here on AWSM Radio. First up, Fridays at 9 p.m., it's DC Live in Effect. You don't want to miss out while he smashes it on the 1s and 2s, kicking the beats from South Florida every week. Then on Saturday, it's DC House Party Saturdays. DC is going to bring his freestyling DJing to the max. House Party Saturdays gives you all of the Miami vibe without actually having to go down to Florida. And from the top clubs to the bars, DC brings the party to you. That's Saturdays at 10, and then Sundays at 10, it's DC Live in Effect again. So, just to review, Friday nights, 9 p.m., DC Live in Effect. Saturday nights, 10 p.m., DC House Party Saturdays. And then finally, 10 p.m. on Sundays, it's DC Live in Effect. Once again, my friends, only here on AWSM Radio. Next up, my friends, cocktails. Boy, howdy, do I enjoy a good cocktail. Some of my favorites are obviously sidecars, old fashions, a Manhattan, which was popular amongst my grandparents. But, a Moscow Mule, any sort of mule, a variety of mules. One drink I do not like, and maybe I need to give another chance sometime down the road, and, as I'm getting older, maybe expand my taste, but one drink that I've had no interest in is a Bloody Mary. A Bloody Mary. Now, what's a Bloody Mary for those who may not have had one recently? Well, you need a little bit of sea salt. You have like a cup of spicy tomato vegetable juice, like V8. About like a shot and a half of vodka. Some dashes of Worcestershire sauce. A dash of hot pepper sauce, like Tabasco. Salt and pepper around the rim, kind of like a margarita, but it's salt and pepper. A celery stalk for some reason, and then garlic stuffed olives threaded through a toothpick, you got yourself a Bloody Mary. I just don't like vegetable, like tomato juice. Like, ugh, bleh. Not a fan. But I might try it in the future. We're gonna have to wait a bit because there's a story out of Japan who puts a sort of a new take on Bloody Mary. A Japanese waitress was fired for mixing her own blood into cocktails. Yes. So that's not quite the Bloody Mary that I was. No. The cafe is called Munjai Kan Cafe Deku, which loosely translates to Problem Child Dark Cafe, and the management apologized, and then said that the server's action was absolutely not acceptable. The anonymous employee allegedly infused her blood into the menu staple dubbed orakaku, which is usually made from fruits and syrups, and but like didn't do it herself. Well, she did herself, obviously, but like did it on the request of a customer, whatnot. So like, I mean, she didn't do it because she was like wanting to get back at the restaurant. She did it because the customer requested, and well, she had some poor judgment there. Now, the wait staff here, this establishment is gothic, and the wait staff there wear dark clothes and makeup, signals of quote mental unstable or problematic women, according to the restaurant, as part of the gimmick. Bills itself as an all-you-can-drink establishment for $20. Holy moly, that's a lot of booze for $20. It opened up last month. It's located in the city of Sapporo in Hodaku, according to the Straits Times. Dr. Zinto Kiato told the Japanese news site Flash, "Drinking the blood of other people is an extremely dangerous act." I would tend to agree. Cases of people getting infected from drinking another person's blood is rare, but major diseases can be transmitted through blood, such as HIV, hepatitis C, hepatitis B, and syphilis. If there are wounds in the mouth, they can be easily infected by blood transmissions. In a clinical setting, he noted, medical professionals take precautions to wear eye and face guards when hands and body while handling bodily fluids such as blood. Kyoto then publicly urged both the waitress and the customer who ingested her blood to be tested for all kinds of blood-borne diseases. Okay. Now, this is also not the only case of they kind of label this as food terrorism and whatnot, but also earlier in Japan, earlier this year, there have been cases of so-called sushi terrorism. In Japan, there's a popular restaurant where there are sushi conveyors, where you sit at the table and a conveyor belt of sushi goes around, and if you see something you like, you take it off and you eat it. Well, obviously, people have been, tampering with sushi and sending it further down to someone that will eat and then will have terrible sushi. Like, they'll do all sorts, like, use your imagination. That's probably been done. So much so that a few conveyor belt sushi locations have shut down in Japan, and 3 people have been arrested for this sushi terrorism. So, anyways, my friends, listen, if you want a Bloody Mary, just stick with the vegetable juice, unless you're a vampire. I guess if you're a vampire, then a Bloody Mary is probably the only cocktail you drink with actual blood. Maybe that, yeah. Or maybe like a really thick black or white Russian and whatnot. So like you're actually drinking someone from Russia if you're a vampire. Yeah. Anyways, my friends, again, Bloody Mary, I might pass on it for a few more years. Next up, my friends, a California man has been sentenced to 3 years of probation and mental health treatment, along with 30 days of home confinement, after he pled guilty to interstate transmission of 13 communications, threats made to the Springfield made threats to a dictionary publisher. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary made threats against them and a whole host of other people. Guess why he got all upset. You guessed it. He made violent anti-LGBTQ related threats against the dictionary as they published definitions of words and whatnot. This guy is a big old bigot, big old homophobe, big old transphobe, and decided to email terrible things to this company, got popped for it, and now he's going to be on probation. Should have went to jail, but he got probation. He said, according to the court documents, the man has a history of making threatening communications, nearly all of which motivated by biases based on race, gender identity, and or sexual orientations. He also sent threatening threats to the American Civil Liberties Union, Amnesty International, Land O'Lakes, the butter company, Hasbro, a non-binary rabbi, and others. Prosecutors asked for an 18-month prison sentence, in part to serve as a deterrent to others, at a time when violent rhetoric has become more common. However, the defense attorney asked the client to be sentenced to time served, citing a history of emotional and behavioral issues, including anxiety and obsessive-compulsive disorders. Apparently, obsessively compulsed, hating people who are hating those type of folks. The judge acknowledged Hansen's medical history and said he had no intent or capacity to carry out his threats, but called his actions disturbing and terrifying. The Merriam-Webster management was fearful Hansen would come to their office and cause harm, much like the 2015 attack on the Charlie Hebdo offices in France, where terrorists killed 12 people who worked for a satirical weekly newspaper and whatnot. According to the court records, Hansen sent Merriam-Webster a threatening message in comments between October 2nd and October 8th, 2021, using the Contact Us function, where he commented on word entries such as girl, woman, and female. Hansen wrote, It is absolutely sickening that Merriam-Webster now tells blatant lies and promotes anti-science propaganda. There is no such thing as gender identity. The imbecile who wrote this entry should be hunted down and shot. Wow, that guy has got a lot of problems, but gosh, you know what? Not the first time I've heard other people say that. And again, folks, I've said this many times before. If you have these thoughts, you know what? Just delete your social media and go seek out some mental health therapy, because you are batshit crazy. Batshit crazy there. He twice threatened to shoot and bomb the headquarters, prompting Merriam-Webster to close its Springfield and New York City office for several days. He also wrote an email to the president of the University of North Texas in 2022 saying, "You ought to be shot in the head and have your offices set on fire for supporting transgender students." Hansen, who appeared remotely from a California jail, declined the opportunity to address the court from himself about his actions. Surprise, surprise, I'm willing to bet the lawyer said, you know what, buddy? Why don't you take a knee on this one? Don't say anything. Don't say anything. But, yeah, good. I mean, he should have went to jail for a year and a half, obviously. But hopefully the next slack-jawed yokel who does this will go to jail for a year and a half and get the mental health help they clearly need. Next up, my friends, we now go to technology. Twitter says people will soon be able to monetize their content with subscriptions. You know, I mean, I don't know about you, my friends, but I have to say, boy, Twitter, I would love to pay people for some of this content. I know I could probably make millions a month by people paying $2.99 a month to read my tweets, he said sarcastically, rolling his eyes on the other side of this microphone. But apparently, Twitter will now allow its users to charge access for their content, like long-form text or long-length videos, according to Elon Musk, the CEO of Twitter. Now, with that, I would like to mention that also Elon Musk said lately that he is not the CEO of Twitter, but he's put his dog in charge as well. So I don't know who the CEO of Twitter is, but it's either Elon Musk or his dog. But anyways, this was already somewhat of a feature on Twitter called Super Followers, where you paid a little bit of money to get exclusive access, and then people who you were a super follower would see your stuff and you replied to them. But now it's going to be changed to subscriptions. Subscriptions will allow you to charge users to access things like subscriber-only tweets, spaces, and badges, I guess. Users can find the feature in the monetization section of the settings. It says, apply, according to this section, he says, apply to offer your followers subscriptions of any material from long-form text to hours-long video. Just tap monetize in the settings. And for the first 12 months, Twitter will not keep any of the money from the users. And people will earn 100% minus, processing fees from their monetized content. Quote, you will receive whatever money we receive. So that's 70% for subscriptions on iOS and Android. They charge 30%. Or 92% on the web. Could be better depending on payment processing. After 12 months, however, the iOS and Android fees will drop to 15%, and the company will add a similar amount on top of that based on volume. Creators can also set the price of their subscription offering by choosing from one of 3 price points on Twitter. So you can offer subscription rates of $2.99, $4.99, or $9.99, according to the company. The tech billionaire also mentioned that the company will also help promote the work of creators on the platform. Quote, our goal is to maximize creator prosperity. At any point, you can leave our platform and take your work with you. Easy in, easy out. So, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I will have a subscriber tier on Twitter. I'll apply. If someone signs up, then I don't know. I'll figure it out from then. No one's going to sign up to subscribe to my Twitter, but when they do, that is when I will figure out what to offer them for that amount of money a month. We shall see. But I know I can't think of anyone I would subscribe to for $2.99 or even $9.99 a month, unless there was some sort of amazing thing about it. Like, I would do it if they would then promote me, and then I would get subscriptions, and it would just go, oh, wait, that's a pyramid scheme. That's what I'm thinking of right now. Actually, all of Twitter is probably a pyramid scheme. Although, you know what? Side note about Twitter, apparently he was looking for a vice president of promotion / propaganda, and I told him, hey, hire me, Elon. I won't be paid up front. I will do all press conferences in a safari vest and a helmet. And you know what? He hasn't wrote me back. Come on, Elon Musk. You got billions and billions of dollars. Not sure why you haven't hired me yet. What a missed opportunity. We now go to some entertainment news, only because I love the show Yellowstone, starring Kevin Costner and whatnot, had some news this week. An actor and actress on the show who play a couple in the show confirmed real-life romance between each other. Yes, that's right. The duo confirmed they are dating in real life. Ryan Brigham and Hassie Harrison took to Instagram with the news. Brigham pictured the two of them kissing, saying, "More than a spark. I love you, cowboy." The Harrison replied. On the series, Brigham plays Walker, a convicted ranch hand, convicted felon turned ranch hand who almost died in a few seasons. And then Harrison plays a barrel racer in Ranch Hand on the show too. Actually, in the show, she originally shacked up with Lloyd, which is one of my favorite characters on there, and whatnot. But then she hooked up with him, Walker, and then Walker and Lloyd had a bit of a fight. We thought, oh no, don't kill Lloyd, but They all work things out and whatnot, but those two um, have some have some real life romance. Which, you know what, it's good to see. It's good to see. I'm very very happy for them. Other co-stars in the um, series liked the post as well, and so good for them. Good for them. Also, fun fact, folks that met on set, had a thing on set, and then actually um, became real life romantic partners on Game of Thrones. Jon Snow, Kit Harington, he met the redhead on the show. I'm just trying to remember her name right now. Played on the show Game of Thrones. Jon Snow had a fling with Ygritte, which was a wildling and whatnot, and she died in the show. But the actor and the actress ended up being together, which is, you know what, very very nice. I'm very happy about that. But anyways, these two Yellowstone actor and actress are together. Look at that, pretty amazing, and good for them. Now, someone who can never be wooed, despite my efforts from afar, roses, chocolate, teddy bears, poems, haikus, is my friend Rox. Oh, Rox. But fortunately, despite my inability to woo her, I can listen to her every day because she has a drive time show here on AWSM Radio called The Rock Sessions. It's a drive time show making sure your evening commute home is fun, featuring the hottest music on the charts and some other surprises in between. She will make it rock style Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. When you call in with your requests, or if you email her with her requests for songs, be sure to include a poem with it, and tell her that Colt Sebastian Taylor said that you had to include a poem to her when you made music requests, because that'll be funny if that gets back to me. But you can hear her here on AWSM Radio, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., The Rock Sessions. It's a great show. Next up, my friends, fashion. Something I'm sure you equate with me every time you hear my dulcet voice. Apparently, there's a trend now to go towards stealth wealth. Not being flashy about said things. Buying expensive clothing, buying expensive things, but like not being flashy about it. It's called no logo. No logo, no flash, no logo style. Wearing very expensive things, but like it not being like, doesn't have like Gucci displayed all over it, but still being very expensive. Apparently it's a trend that's becoming more and more popular and whatnot. Tracing, it's actually an old trend that's coming back once again. This was apparently very popular in the 19th century Gilded Age of America and France in the 1700s, where people were wearing expensive clothing, but they like look expensive, and they kind of blended in with the rest of society. One sort of note of this was Gwyneth Paltrow's recent trial, that she kind of came in wearing things that was kind of like, muted and sort of neutral tones, but there was also very expensive clothing and whatnot. So, quote, Robert Burke, a luxury retail consultant, when you know, and that's sort of the point. The people they care about, the people in the rooms, know exactly what they're wearing, and they're the only ones that matter. So basically, the trend is not showing the world just how much money you have, but wearing things that other rich people know that are expensive, and they know that you're flaunting your wealth, but no one else does because it kind of looks like everything else. So like a simple handbag may look like any other handbag, but to those who know, oh gosh, that's a $30,000 handbag, whereas it kind of looks like a $20 handbag. So apparently this is a new trend that was apparently sort of spurred on a bit by the show Succession, which I hear great things about. Haven't seen the show, seen a bunch of clips of it, but I really probably should have watch it. Anyway, the costume designer, Michelle Matlin, has created pricey yet stealthy wardrobes unique to key characters and evolved over time, and fans have been following it, trying to figure out what they're wearing because there's no logos. She says, it should have bling quality. You always going to have, I guess, the Kardashians, the people who wear things to draw attention, they may have the same money, but different aspirations. So this sort of quiet wealth, no logo showing off thing, which was sort of made popular from Secession, is now starting to catch on more so in the world of actual fashion and whatnot. It's pretty crazy. So I myself have been known to be cheap, but I imagine if I had a ton of money myself, then yeah, I would still wear hoodies, but maybe they're like $2,000 hoodies and whatnot. We now go to Japan once again, where the country's first official casino will be opening. Gambling in Japan has long been illegal, but in 2018, a law was passed to make certain games like poker and baccarat to be legal in order to boost tourism and jobs. And they expect the first complex to open in Osaka in 2029. There is some split in public opinion about it, concerned about the rise of crime and gambling addiction, but plans are going forward. It's going to be a over 5 million square foot facility featuring a shopping mall, a museum, a hotel, and a conference room. According to Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, we hope the casino will become a tourism base that promotes Japan's charms to the world. It's going to be an investment of $13.5 billion by U.S.-based casino operator MGM and Japan's Oryx Group, each owning 40% in the company. The last 20% will be owned by local companies like West Japan Rail, Kanishi Electric Power, and Osaka-based Panasonic. So, if you are in Osaka come 2029, you will be able to go to Japan's first casino. So, maybe I'll go. Or if you go there first, you let me know. Now, in terms of high quality, without really being flashy about it, I have 2 high quality shows for you here on AWSM Radio. They both deal with sports. The first up is To the Rack with Mac. To the Rack with Mac is your go-to spot for all things basketball. Join NBA expert Mac Daddy as he brings you a full hour of high-flying hoops expertise for all things NBA. Tune in Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. And then at 10 p.m. it's What's Going On. What's Going On is our Fox Sports affiliate show, providing listeners with over 150 combined years of sports knowledge. Hosted by Nate Brown and his crew, they have been a staple of Western New York sports for the past 2 decades. And now, my friends, they are moving national. That's Wednesdays at 10 p.m. So, just to remind you, for all things sports, Wednesdays 9 p.m. To the Rack with Mac. Wednesdays 10 p.m. What's Going On? Only here, my friends, on AWSM Radio. And that, my friends, just about wraps up this week's Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, you can find me on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on the Facebook, on the Cameo, on the Twitch at Colt S. Taylor. The podcast version of the show can be listened to and you can subscribe to at Anchor.fm, generally posted by Sunday. And of course, be sure to check out ColtSebastianTaylor.com for all my ventures, including a Wednesday online D&D game where I play a fantasy version of myself, Colt Sebastian Taylor. Spoiler alert, I wear a different hat, now I'm pissed helmet. Well, my friends, until next time, I am, of course, the one, the only, your friend, Colt Sebastian Taylor, and I'll see you later. And once again, thank you for listening to the podcast version of the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. As always, check out the links in the post below. Life points, take surveys, get paid in gift cards. And for all of your social media posting needs on the Facebook, the Twitter, the LinkedIn, the Instagram, the Pinterest, the Google My Business, and the TikTok, check out socialbee.io. 14-day free trial. Once you try them out, you'll use them like I do. Until next week's podcast version, I'm me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, and thank you for listening.